peppers.
See, now it's funny.
Fuck up,
Yeah.
dog.
Well, because that's what pit's for, right?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
filter.
Yeah.
Hey, some
there
people
it is.
own that.
Let me know when we're live.
We're live.
Hey,
Okay.
Hey, Seth, do
Okay.
you want to have sex after class?
Let me,
Yo.
Let me just
Yeah, Jason.
little
there's,
little primer.
Teacher, are you drinking in class?
only water, children.
Don't tell your parents.
I'll give you some after class.
This is what good students get. All right, so we're live. Fuck, I guess I should just go.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna tell you why this show is super deep and very intellectual. And okay.
What did I say? The small words, watch it for the plot.
It's a quick breakdown on why Kill la Kill is actually really good. So it's more gonna be like why I like it, and I know 2 of you have seen Kill la Kill, and the rest of you probably haven't, and it's a pretty tough sell because I pride myself as a you know pro girl power, you know, very. So anyway, I'll just get right into it. Its animation is so fucking good. It's so goddamn good. Its pacing's pretty good, and it might be satire, and it might not be. I don't know. We'll get into that. But like, oh, dog, look at this. Look at this, just little gif here.
Oh,
He
God,
bursts
I
through the
love
door.
this scene.
Oh man, I fucking.
You missed
It's great.
You cut out the best part, Professor. Like his giant foot.
I know, but it was like more relevant to. It was like a classroom, so I had to cut like to the classroom stuff.
I understand.
It's so. This is like the first 2 minutes, by the way. I really wished I picked something sillier instead of just something I really like and I'm gonna force you to listen to.
Professor,
Uh-huh.
can I point out in that scene, as that kid runs down the stairs?
Yeah,
see
Gamagori
Gamagori
is.
throughout the window?
Yeah, he's falling down. Yeah, it's so good. This this show has so many little things like that, and it's so cheap. And I'm gonna get into like why I think it's super effective with his budget. Yeah, see, there he goes. He like slides down the and that's how he beats him down. So like obviously the animation is super like it's well constructed traditionally, you know, it's very just solid and it adheres to most principles, and like there are some pretty traditional looking scenes like in this one, but like it has so much more that makes it so much more unique. So like you can see the Kill la Kill on the right and some other anime, I don't know, it was on Google Images on the left. But like the other anime, it has like all of this like shine and reflectiveness, and it's certainly more like it has just more colors on screen and like the eyes are more detailed. But like I don't know, just look at how Kill la Kill has like a roughly similar scene of like people kind of just talking, and it does all this like super silly stuff. I love it so much, man. I love it so much. And I'm sorry that that's just going to be what this entire lecture is going to be, is me just going like... So, like, but what's so great about it, and what I really need to stress, is most anime has, like, very obvious money shot scenes and, like, scenes of just kind of conserving the budget. And Kill la Kill has that, too. It absolutely has, like, the big shots. But how most shows will do it, like this scene on the left, is, like, they'll spend their budget, like... doing shading or doing like little extra effects or like just more like it's so boring. But this show, instead of spending time and resources on like the superficial surface level end, it's just always fucking moving, and it's an animated show and it's just always fucking moving so much. Even when it's not moving, it's moving so fucking perfectly, and I'll get into that later. But it's just, God, it just fucking bombards your eyes with cool shit to look at all the time. And while I don't think its characters are very good and its plot is okay, it's actually better paced than you might think. But it's just fucking fun all the time. It's like they always just ask themselves what the like. All right, this bottom left one, the family is like moving their house, so they just pick up their house and put it in their pickup truck. I love it so fucking much. It's so good. And like it uses obviously cheap shots to like kind of just be silly, like this one here of these 4 main characters walking, and like it's kind of in a free-for-all battle right now, and these guys are clearly just several leagues above the rest. So while everyone is just breaking out in this fucking battle royale frenzy, they're just like chilling, and they have like, I don't know, 8 frames each, maybe 12, but they just like quickly, it's so fucking precious. And the one on the bottom right is like a really iconic, often memed scene from this show, especially the beginning that's coming up here, where she just gets pelted with tennis balls. It's just at a right angle. Oh, yes, Chris.
Battle Royale, Fortnite. Oh.
Yes, see, thank you. Like I said, the memes are going to be a little forced for this one. I didn't plan it to be very funny, and I apologize for that. I maybe should have gone with the Sonichu lecture. But like they just duplicate background characters like so. I don't know if you can even call it shameless because it's so like front and center.
But it's used smart.
I love it so fucking much. Yeah, and it's just like it's so creative, and it's just like I said, it lets them do movement like all the time instead of for a very popcorny show like this. It would be a waste of resources to have all those like tennis players look a little different or have all those football players look different. So they just like make it look so fucking good. And the hearts, it's so good. And I'm sorry that's going to be the whole thing. And this one, yeah, it's like barely animated, but the parts that are animated are so good and their poses are so good. I'm sorry that this is my entire lecture.
No, this is great.
But
Not great for audio listeners.
Right.
Fuck you.
Dude, like this is literally just me gonna be gushing about something I love a lot. And like I mean, you guys know my background is in games. I think a game would fucking look incredible with shit like this. How it solves all the problems that games have in animations. Which is yes.
What problems do games have? Animation's really good in Uncharted.
Alright, yeah, but fucking pressing buttons isn't, because you press a button and then 9 years pass and Drake fucking does a context-sensitive jump over a barrel. But good fucking games are responsive, so when you press a button, it should be, like, I think it's within 30 milliseconds where the human brain expects a response. By the way, yeah, something like that. So, like, this show, anime, alright, different, I'm gonna get real fucking highbrow animation on you guys, I'm sorry. Western animation, it's fucking Mickey Mouse. It's all about like fluid, constant movement. The character designs are super simple so that they can be animated all the fucking time, right? Like Bugs Bunny, fucking Mickey Mouse, even the Disney stuff. They're relatively, well, not super the Disney feature films, but especially the TV shows. They're very simple characters so that they can be animated often, right? But what anime usually does is it has very like high fidelity characters, very complicated character designs that are animated very little. So they'll just do like, it's expensive to draw all those in-betweens, right? So they'll just do 2 like, they're called key poses. They'll do 2 like really dominant poses, and then they'll really quickly like just speed between the 2, because Western animation, simple character designs, you can do those in-betweens like because it's not that expensive because the characters are simple to draw, right? But anime, when the characters are complicated, they usually just like cut between these like key poses really quickly. And Kill la Kill is super anime, obviously, and it does things super quickly. Its character designs are relatively simple, certainly compared to the Google image anime I showed earlier, but like it just fucking goes nuts with that. It like uses it to its advantage. Most anime is kind of under-animated as a result of that, but this show is maybe the most animated show of all fucking time, and I love it so much that my voice cracked. Huh?
Professor Hall, could you break down like the cheap, cool techniques they use here and how they could be applied to a game?
So alright, so yeah, I forgot that's, sorry, I'm trying to do more of this, that way I, can talk about this better.
More drinking apple cider from your cup, you mean?
Or apple cider from my, yeah. Back to games.
Yo.
Get fucking Nathan Drake. Alright, like the worst part of games is the startup, right? You press a button and then you want the response to be instant because you're a player, and you press attack, you want the attack to be quick because you pressed attack and it's a game and you want to play the fucking game.
I do!
Right? but the game won't let you play it because the game's got to show fucking Nathan Drake fucking unzip his pants before he does anything, and it's bullshit. You know what?
You have to. It's controller motion controls. So for Nathan Drake, you have to like drop the PS4 controller. So he
It's
drops his pants.
bullshit. I know. God, it sucks. So anyway, the show solves how to get in between two radically different poses super quickly and super it's so good. It's so good at it. So as a background in games, I think that that's super nifty, and I am shocked that all these shitty games take the bad part of anime, but they don't take the super cool shit that is actually crazy relevant to their medium. Anyway, moving on. All right. Yeah. So another thing it does all the time that I think is also super relevant to games, I thought I would move on, but I wouldn't, is it plays with scale a lot. Like this scene here, like it's pretty obvious, and it's certainly not subtle. It's one of the most like kind of the quickest way to get to show a character's power dynamic is how much space they take up on a screen. So like this one on the bottom right is kind of more interesting. I'll let it start over here. So this one, she acquires the sailor uniform, and she's like super fucking hyped about it. And every time she like makes a point, she grows like double the size, and it's so fucking fun. It's just fun, all right? Like if anime is gonna be shitty and stupid and have bad characters and stupid plots, then just make it fucking fun, right? And that's what this show does. It's fun. It's fun. I like it. It's silly. It doesn't take itself seriously until it does at the end. But anyway, even then, I don't know. It's complicated. I'm not gonna get into that. So all right. So it's impossible to talk about this show without also talking about Gurren Lagann, which I know most of you have you seen Gurren Lagann, Maddie? I know you were kind of okay. It's made by the same guys, same studio, and Kill la Kill was definitely riding the coattails of Gurren Lagann, which was a huge success, as if anyone who would ever fucking watch this wouldn't know that. But I think the similarities go deeper than that, and this isn't exactly a hot take, but Gurren Lagann is basically, it takes this super stereotypical anime genre of the mecha genre, and it kind of pushes it to its furthest possible extreme. So like by the end, like Gurren Lagann starts as this like really ragtag team of like poor villagers who like find this tiny mech and they break out of their society, and it ends with mechs that are the size of like a galaxy throwing. No, they're bigger than a galaxy because like the shurikens they throw at each other. Yeah, they're throwing galaxies at each other. It's just like it just takes this ridiculous power creep Gurren Lagann like mecha anime trope, and it just pushes it as far as it can possibly go, right? Kill la Kill is that for the magical girl anime, which is like a Sailor Moon thing, right? Where a girl, you gonna say shonen?
I was thinking shonen.
It is a shonen anime. It logistically, but it pays homage to magical girl anime primarily, and we'll get into that, you little bitch.
Okay.
Like listen to your animation director, Don. I'm sorry. But this it takes the magical girl genre and it pushes it to its extreme. So like the Sailor Moon comparisons are pretty obvious with its like magical sailor uniform and this like super stereotypical transformation sequence that they have. Like that's baby stuff. Anyone could watch Kill la Kill. 2-year-old could watch Kill la Kill and draw the thematic comparisons. Well, but it talks about that. All right, so it takes like little things from
Go!
It takes little things from the magical girl anime, and it fucking blows them up into like frontline importance. So take like the little stars that happen in Sailor Moon, and I'm not an anime expert, so forgive me. I'm sure this trope happened before Sailor Moon, but like it takes the stars in the background, and the stars were like a motif, like a very light motif in Sailor Moon, and it just takes it to the next fucking. It makes it of utmost importance in Kill la Kill. So like the bottom right here, that's like the symbol of a uniform, and here is like the fucking first episode exposition dump of like the amount of stars that a uniform has is directly tied to its like power level. I think that's so cute. I think taking something that was so nothing in the source material and just blowing it up to like just explaining it, it's so silly, and I like it. And I don't know, I can't read Seth's face. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's
I don't know what Chris is trying to tell me.
Oh, okay.
I'm more like just
Okay.
I'm just making faces at him like, isn't
So
it
yeah, like
cool?
this little punk, you know, his uniform is just 1 star. It just has 1 little glisten. But then this big boy, his is a 3-star uniform, as he's explaining in the text, which I don't know how legible that is on the YouTube video. But it like, and then it takes that to its absolute extreme. So like here in the upper left is like a big old fight scene between like the 2 main characters, and they're using these uniforms, right? And so there's stars fucking everywhere, and they push it so crazy, and there's a whole sea of stars. And at the end, the finale here, like when the greatest evil is defeated using this power, the star grows super huge, and it never, like, the show is not subtle about many things, but it like never makes that like a big thing. I mean, like I said, it canonizes like the star system, but I like it. That's all. I like it. And like it parodies, like, it's kind of weird that Sailor Moon just turns into like a sexy sailor girl when she like turns powerful, and it like parodies that or pays homage to it or just is that on the surface level. We'll get into that later, whether or not it's like a critique or a satire or just the exact same thing. But as the main character Ryuko's, as her power level increases, the uniform gets increasingly ridiculous, and this is her final form here. So, spoiler alert, I guess. Anyway, it takes, all right. So like, magical girl trope number 2, or number 3. It takes like this MacGuffin, this like signature unique weapon that the main character has, and it like sews that into the main story better. It like sews it in. You see what I'm saying?
I've seen Kill la Kill.
Yeah.
The Kill la Kill has a lot of clothing and sewing metaphors.
So yeah, I'll get into that next slide for the layman here. So her signature thing is like, oh, it's like have a scissor blade, which is the most fucking anime thing you've ever seen in your fucking life, right? It's like a keyblade. It's like, that's stupid.
Oh,
But
I was
actually,
gonna say that.
but canonically, like they like retroactively make that silly thing fit by like, okay, the like scissors are the only thing that can cut through this like magical fabric, so it makes sense that her thing is like a scissor blade. It's adorable, and I like how much it takes these tropes and it just like super runs with it. It takes, this is one of the more obvious, blatantly obvious examples. It takes the dumb sidekick who solves the day through friendship and perseverance, and it kind of pushes her to her absolute extreme. I think a lot of it, I assume a lot of this is kind of lost in translation. Like, because she's just super dumb in the dub and in the sub, and like I don't doubt that the original source material like is.
It was anime before manga.
Well, I know that. That's fucking who do you think you're talking to here? I'm talking about, yeah, the original Japanese writing. I think she's probably a little more blatantly on the nose. I mean, I don't know. There's better examples of this. I should just drop that for later. But like, this character literally has like, she just breaks the rules of the story to like preach about friendship, and it's like really ironic, and they're just these super silly. This is what's really lost in translation. Apparently these sequences do a lot of like visual puns and like double entendres that are absolutely lost in translation, which is super sad because they're really silly and they're super funnily animated, and they kind of take what I like about the show, that it's super funny animated, and they like put it in its most like silly two-dimensional character, and it's fun. That's the point of the story. It's fun.
And not animated at all. Like, these are all just.
But it is super animated. Like, the movements on a macro editing level are super good, and the directing is so sublime. I love this show. I know, that's what's so good about it, right? Is like instead of fucking being a polished, it's just always moving, and I love this show. I think I'm gonna need a little more of this.
Kiss was really audible in the microphone.
Perfect.
Good.
As it should be.
Good.
Oh, it's a slide where
So-
nothing's moving. I'm gonna fall asleep in my chair.
Yeah, it takes also the sailor, like, it doesn't take anything for granted in its kind of like extreme caricature of this genre, right? It takes every element, and it just pushes it so far. So like the sailor uniforms are like these parasitic, like, they're technically aliens. It's super weird. They're aliens.
That's confusing as all. It's
Yeah.
like, what is
But like it creates like this kind of weird symbiotic relationship between the main character and her sailor uniform pictured on the left, and like I'm not gonna yes.
Are they actually called sailor uniforms?
I don't think they're ever explicit. Or no, they definitely reference it as a sailor uniform one or few times. They're called. All right, so like to get into the lore, which I didn't really want to get into for this, and I certainly didn't have the time to. There's certain pieces of fabric. They're called life fibers. It's super anime. And they are what powers the uniforms and gives them superpowers. And the uniform that the main character has is woven completely out of these powerful fibers. They're called god robes. These super transformative, like Sailor Moon, fucking.
That is the most alien thing you can get.
Yeah. So all right. It canonizes, and this is where we kind of get into some gray area with the show. It like it takes the idea of the characters getting sluttier in their transformations, and it canonizes it, much like these other two shows, much like the other two pieces of medias do that I'll get into. So basically, it's like, oh, because they're a parasitic creature, if you leave as much skin exposed as possible while wearing it, it kind of has the least amount of control over you, and you can just kind of get the benefits without the problem of being like a host to this parasite. And where that kind of gets weird is like these other so this is like Quiet from Metal Gear, which I'm sure Chris knows. But it, like, I don't know the exact fucking mechanics behind her, but it's like, oh, she like breathes through her skin, so she needs to be wearing a fucking bikini top. And then this is Momo from Boku no Hero Academia, who I haven't played either of these. I'm not super into either of these things that I'm referencing. But like her thing is like the more skin she's exposed, the more she can like draw items. It's just this super contrived way to slut up your characters. No, there is. I looked her up on the fucking wiki before I put her in, because I do my research. Yeah. But like, that's where this kind of gets weird. Is like, is this a parody of these things, or is it just a contrived excuse to like show slutty 17-year-olds in weird costumes? Yes. Yes. I don't know exactly what. I'm probably less favorable to this show than a lot of other weebs are. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of empowered because here's like the antagonist of the first half of the series being like, oh, like this is just what makes us powerful. So you're dumb for being ashamed of your body. Like you should be proud of it. And some people interpret that as like girl power. Yeah, show titties because it's girl power. I don't super agree with that. I think ultimately it is a sexist show, but it's at least gray about it. I don't know. It's an interesting thing for conversation, and I ran out of time because making all these GIFs from scratch took a lot of time, and it was hard, and I felt like shit today. Yeah, I recorded the GIFs myself, almost all of them. Didn't record this one actually. But I don't imagine there's any questions because I kind of just rambled the whole time. Yes?
I have a question also, but you guys go first.
All right, Chris raised his hand first. That's how we do it here.
I'm going to use my power of raising my hand first
Uh-huh.
and have Seth ask his question first.
Honorable. Seth?
So with the fucking like god robe thing,
Mm-hmm.
why does she have what?
Well, it explains it, and I wanted like one of the reasons I actually super like this show, that I couldn't get into here because it would have been too super time consuming, and I made this presentation super last minute. Is one of the main appeal, the fucking master class thing that this show does, it's animation by far. That is easily by leagues the best thing this show does. The second thing I think it does actually super well is its pacing and its introduction of new mechanics. So I think it actually introduces like power relationships and like where she got this thing and like what it's made of and why it's unique. I think it actually introduces those mechanics super well in the early season, and it kind of explores its mechanics pretty thoroughly. And I super wish I had the time to get into that. It would kind of just require a breakdown of the entire first half of the season that I just didn't really have time for. But like, you watch this show and it's this super cringy, just oogle fest of minors in slutty clothing with excellent animation. But I do think its introduction of mechanics are super good. So your question would be answered, but if you were to watch it, which if we were to ever make a 2D game, I'd want you to, because if we were to ever make a 2D game, it would need to look exactly like this.
Wait, they're not legal?
Oh,
Ryuko is 17. I don't know the age of the other characters. Frankly, I was surprised that she was 17. I'm surprised she wasn't like 15 or 16.
How did they get away with this in Japan?
Dog, you think this is nothing. Anyway.
It's
Dude,
1
there's
year
like-
away from 18. Why don't we
there's
just
like-
round up and call it a day?
I don't know, dog. But that's the thing with this show. That might be the joke. That might be like.
Is it?
Well, I don't know. That's what makes this show weird, right? Because it's this weird satire, homage, also explicitly very much of this like magical girl stuff. So like the debate on if this is like problematic, I think it is, because I'm as liberal as it fucking comes. But
Cock!
like right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's also 11 p.m. But like that's what's weird about this show, right? Is it's like, is it a satire? Is it a parody? Well, it absolutely is both of those things. It kind of becomes what it satirizes, I think intentionally, but that doesn't excuse the fact that I do think it's a pretty. I would not tout this as a feminist anime. That's for sure.
Should I watch Kill la Kill?
Should you watch Kill la Kill, Seth Thomas Johnson?
Your name is Thomas?
I get fucked.
Alright,
Should you? Yeah. Shut up, Sam. Gotcha. Should you? No, you shouldn't watch this show. It's superbly animated, and that's why I've watched the whole thing like 6 times. And I have Stockholm syndromed redeeming qualities of this show into myself. Like I said, its pacing and its introduction of new mechanics, and not only is its animation really good, I think its colors and like I've really grown to like its character design, as patronizing as it is. That aside, I think it's pretty excellent. But this is just something I really like, and I'm sorry it wasn't very funny. And most of the joke is just from me being a little tipsy. Yes, Don? Don Wee? New in? Best girl?
Best waifu.
Best.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Why isn't
I like them all. I like them. Other than
That's not a good answer. You have to
I all right. If I really had to give you a list,
It's not a list. It's one answer.
probably
Ryuko's
Ryuko.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Ryuko. Who's the main character pictured on the left here? Yeah, no, it's just Ryuko. Honestly, what's up?
dissenting opinion.
As
somebody who does like this show, there was a certain point where I was watching it, and every time they had like a weird boob shot, I just got hit with uncontrollable laughter. and like I just got desensitized to it so much. I was kind of like, you know, maybe this show is doing something by like taking things that I would normally find sexual and just like desensitizing it to me or mocking it to the point where I'm like, it's kind of not sexual.
That's another weird thing is like earlier, it's right here. Satsuki like kind of mocks people who are just oogling her, right? Because it's like, I'm doing this for me, and if you're just seeing like perverted shit in it, then you're stupid. It's so.
I mean, but they like the complicated part comes in that they like frame this as an underboob shot.
Right, they clearly, but that's the point. But is it enough to redeem it? I don't think so personally. But it is certainly aware of it the entire time, I think.
But awareness is not. It's what you do with that awareness. And
right.
I would, for the record, for my dissenting opinion, most of the laughter is just me laughing.
It is notable that this show 9 billion% passes the Bechdel test, which is a feminist. It's a feminist critique that I think is terribly misunderstood by people who criticize it, and I believe it's said and pronounced like the Bechdel test.
Yep.
But it is it's just a very simple test where it's like, do two female characters have a discussion? I think it's past a certain like time quantity, but do they have a discussion that lasts a certain amount of time that is not about a male character or their relationship to a male character or something that like strictly involves a male character? And it's people misunderstand the Bechdel test because it's not that a movie that fails it is sexist, because I mean if you have a movie that is primarily about male characters, then it makes sense from a writing perspective why you wouldn't have two side characters talk about something that isn't about the primarily male cast, right? But really the test is, and I'm kind of getting sidetracked here, but the test is really about like, oh, almost every like best picture movie made before a certain date fails the Bechdel test. And it's the prominence of failed Bechdel test movies that makes it notable. It's not that you can't have a movie that doesn't involve two female characters talking about a not male character for a fucking minute, and that makes it not sex. No, it's overwhelming failure rate that makes it noteworthy. And this show, by and large, like, there are no male saviors in this show. The only male that does anything of any real significance is a very prudish, respectful male who never oogles at the girls. And the girls are always at the helm. So like, that also kind of complicates it, you know? Because, like, is this worse than shows like, you know, Dragon Ball, where everyone's super ripped and they're this ideal form of masculine? It's more it's complicated, you know? And that's kind of, like, there's more to this show. There's more to this show than meets the eye. And that's a big part of what this lecture was, too, of like, I kind of made it about the animation because that's the part I care about most. But originally it was going to be about like, yes, anyone can appreciate the animation of this show, but there are some clever parts about it, and there's a lot of really stupid parts about it. I don't think any of its characters are good, as far as like.
Well, Gamagori.
Oh no! Like, no, it's not a good character. Maybe relative to other Kill la Kill characters. Yeah, and what else, Chris? What else?
You got me.
Yeah. Last Airbender has far better characters than this show.
That's
true. But like there is more to it than excellent animation and boobies. And I've probably gone on for far too long.
But that's cool.
But I really like it, and it's one of my favorite shows. And I because of these other redeeming qualities and because of its masterclass, I personally think it is the best animated TV show of all time by far. And I'm no expert on anime, so I haven't seen a lot. Like, I haven't seen Kiznaiver.
You're still working on that degree.
I've seen almost all of Trigger's other works. I've seen like Little Witch Academia. I've seen Space Patrol Luluko. I've seen Gurren Lagann, obviously. I do think that this is really it's just the most fun show to watch. If I had to watch a show without audio for the rest of my life, it'd be this one by far. Because it is just the most fun to watch, and this is probably not the best slide to stay on while I make this point. But it is the most fun. It's just the most fun to watch, and I love it. And it's also got a few other things about it that are pretty cool too. So that's Kill la Kill, and I totally watched it for the plot. Thank you. That went on, I don't want to know how long that lasted.
You know, you called this "Watch It for the Plot," but it's really "Watch It for the Animation."
Yeah, but like I said, the original intent was to like. I thought everyone had kind of understood why the animation was good. It was only till I was talking with Seth about it while I was making it, when I was like, shit, I haven't really gone into why I like this animation so much. It was.
I think like a big part of it is I haven't really seen examples. Like
Yeah.
you would say like it's fun or like it's really cheap, but like it's seeing it in action that like makes it make sense.
And I honestly don't think GIFs do it justice, because they kind of imply that I'm cherry picking. And what is really, really impressive about this show is every episode, like every scene, honestly, it really feels like they asked themselves very critically, like, how do we make this as entertaining to look at as possible? And they nailed it every time. Like, they were just all, it's so good. There's no fucking over the shoulder shot. There's no like shot reverse shot. I mean, there might be some, but even if it's really, really, really well done. It like maybe puts animation at the forefront more than any other show I've ever seen. I mean, I would say definitely more than any other show I've ever seen. Even triggers other work. Even triggers other very lighthearted popcorny work like Space Patrol Luluco, which I think is the only... Well, Gainax's work in Fooly Cooly, which I haven't seen a lot of, comes close. Yeah. Well, different studio technically, but a lot of the same guys. And I'm really no expert, so I'm ashamed that this is going to be posted online because I'm talking out of my ass for a lot of this. But Fooly Cooly is probably the closest, from what I know, that comes to this show. I watched a few clips of it today just to see if I think it did it better. I do think Kill la Kill probably does it better. I mean, it's newer, so that makes sense. I think so. But Fooly Cooly is still excellent. It's still incredibly well animated, and certainly a strong second place. So
I think a lot of, I'm just kind of just blowing out my ass as well, but I think Yuasa, the guy that does like Devilman,
I don't know.
He definitely prioritizes like movement over
Yes.
everything. Including story characters. Like movement is like his like number one priority. Like
I guess this show is so popcorny and
like
manic.
Like what Trigger does, I think it prioritizes movement to look super fun and entertaining. Yuasa just prioritizes movement to just move.
I think the guy you're talking about in most of the stuff he's done, I think he kind of prioritizes a macro level of cohesion and a macro level of like, how does this fit into the story? Whereas Trigger for Kill la Kill especially, they were like, how can we make one scene as just bombastic and attention grabby as possible? So they're really going for different things, I think. But and like because of that, I think Kill la Kill is the better surface level show. Like, or I shouldn't even say that. It's certainly a better. It's more constantly creative.
When you look at like both works, it's first off what you see, what you're gonna stick with, and Trigger definitely like you're gonna stick with Trigger more often than not. And if you're gonna watch it again and over again, Trigger's.
And like I really do wish I had kind of had time to get into like how they introduce new mechanics, because I think that they do it at a really good pace, and they often subvert expectations too. I hope we're not still live, right? We are. Okay. Well, fuck it. They'll just get the whole thing. They usually subvert. They subvert. Oh, yeah. It's 11. I should just stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone on for too long. I kind of thought we were, off the clock.
How long was yours, dude?
I don't know. How long was that?
Unrelated. Have you seen Kaiba?
It's cool.
No.
Oh, hold on. Let's give it one for the professor real quick.
What do you think?
I was gonna bring up